last year on March 27th, I chased a unit sand train down the Bayard line and then chased a unit trash train up the river line. This year on March 12th, I unironically did the exact same thing over again, but better, a lot better. I woke up to a bunch of missed calls from my friend Max, who was out railfanning in Alliance, and when I finally got to calling him back at around 10 a.m., he told me a 60X had departed Berea siding at 8:45 with some KCS foreign power on it. And if you know me, you know that I love chasing trains down the Bayard. It's really, really scenic out there. But I almost didn't go for this one because I thought for sure that by now 60X would have already beat me to Alliance before I could even intercept it. Then I found out that he was actually only at CP 107 in Northfield. So I had time, but I needed to get out of bed and get moving right now. So I did, and I drove out to Alliance and got there with 20 minutes to spare. "60X is as-needed sand loads for the HC Minerals plant in Mingo Junction, Ohio. The train originates at the Smart Sand Mine in Oakdale, Wisconsin as Canadian Pacific Train 640. It's interchanged to NS at Bensonville, Illinois, where it takes the Chicago, Cleveland, and River lines to Mingo Junction. Max and I are about to chase it on the last leg of its journey from Alliance to Steubenville at the very top end of the Mingo yard limits. 60X today has 2 Kansas City Southern Railway locomotives in trail, one of which is the rear distributed power unit on the bottom of the train facing nose out. And the sun is out, making for some excellent morning light. What a beautiful day to chase trains.
CX approach Alliance, maybe 1.
It's a 25-minute drive from Alliance to Bayard, giving us plenty of time to get ahead of the slow-moving 60X as it climbs up the hill toward Summitville. We capture it rolling through the beautiful countryside of Bayard at Essex Road right next to White Leather Holstein's farm. This is my favorite spot on the entire line, and you're about to see why. The first 13 miles of track between here and Alliance is non-signaled dark territory. Train movements are controlled via track authority issued by the Cleveland East Dispatcher in Atlanta, Georgia. That signal you saw there in the background is the distant signal to Bayard, indicating that we're about to go from dark territory to CTC, or signaled territory. I'll have a video coming out in the next few months on how these signals work. A maintainer has received track authority to perform a visual track inspection of the Bayard line behind the 60X. He will follow the train all the way down to Yellow Creek, where he'll either set off at a railroad crossing or come back west the way he came. Our next location is CP Shale in Summitville, a spot I've wanted to try for a long time. 60X is seen splitting the signals as it begins its downhill descent into the Ohio Valley below.
60X clear Shale, main 1 east now.
Shale is where the former double track begins from here to CP River in Hammondsville. Main 2 was decommissioned sometime before 2013 and is cut in various places east of town. Only the very west end is used seldomly to store maintenance of way equipment. engineer is running in dynamics, holding the train at a safe 25 miles per hour on the hill. Eventually, he'll have to slow down as he enters the Conway Terminal dispatcher desk so the conductor can call for their next track authority down the river line to Mingo. At Salineville, we find a bridge that curves over the North Fork of the Yellow Creek. Conway Terminal is working the 60X onto the river line, but with one minor catch.
60X, over.
I got C10 on the river line. They're going to give me a less of a milepost 8. When they clear, I'll get you started with a branch to RO8 while they continue their way on to Mingo.
Alright, C10 ahead on river line. When they give you some track, we'll get branch to 8.
60X received their track authority as advertised from CP Branch to milepost RO8 on the river line behind the C10, a local that works between Mingo, Wellsville, and sometimes Irondale. This wouldn't last long, though, as the C10 cleared up earlier than anticipated, and out of the kindness of his heart, Conway Terminal voided the current authority and issued a new one granting access to the entire main line to Mingo for 60X.
Norfolk Southern, milepost 28.6. No defects.
We park on the side of State Route 213 in Hammondsville to capture a telephoto shot of 60X passing under the power lines as they receive their new track authority down the river line.
X, over.
When you're ready to copy, whatever.
Okay, ready to copy.
Category number 079. NS 8094. Norfolk Southern 8094. West WEST. And a branch. Checkbox number 1. Track authority number 7921. That's 7921 is void. Checkbox number 2. Proceed from branch to rock on main track. That's track authority 8079. 2 boxes, check number 1 and number 2, over.
I got track authority number 8079. It's 8079 to the T&E NS 8094. NS 8094 West, WEST at branch. Checkbox 1, track authority number 7921. That 7921 is void. Checkbox 2, proceed from branch to rock on the main MAIN track. Track authority number 8079, two boxes check 1 and 2, copy by Val.
079, track 079, 094, two boxes 1 and 2. Copy by Val, and location is 109 at PM. 109 at PM, dispatcher is SRW, over.
Track authority number 8079, 8079 to the T&E NS 8094, two boxes checked 1 and 2, copied by Balavan, okay, at 109, that's 109 PM, dispatcher SRW.
That's correct, over. 215 cab is requested to the hotel, over.
Alright, 215 cab to the hotel, thank you.
Just east of Hammondsville is CP River, where the Yellow Creek running track branches off of the main to join the river line at CP Branch. 60X must make the hard right turn at restricted speed for a couple of reasons. The running track is a tight, blind curve that leads into more dark territory, so the heavy sand train must be able to stop within half the range of vision for any obstructions. The best signal indications he can get are a slow approach at River and a restricting at Branch. We jump ahead of the train and land at the Toronto Defect Detector. The railroad calls this location Tor. Here in dark territory, these green station signs take the place of signals separating blocks of track between railroad locations. While they don't quite display signal indications, crews are still required to call them out over the radio, so anyone listening knows where they are. The detector here is a Progress Rail Micro HBD used to pick up hot bearings and dragging equipment on trains. Once upon a time, this detector gave an axle count reading over the radio, but those days are long gone since the new microtalker was put in. Here comes 60X, throttling back up to speed as it passes over the detector. The engineer definitely sees us.
No defects.
Another detector is located at Rock in Steubenville. Rock is the beginning of both the Mingo Junction yard limits and the 15,800-foot Steubenville siding. 60X is ordered to tie his train down on the main line at the west switch due to there being no room at the sand plant. Meanwhile, in the siding, NS62V has just built his train out of Gold's Yard in Mingo and is waiting down at the Jefferson County Jailhouse for 60X to clear. That steel truss bridge above us is NS's Weirton Secondary to the steel yards at Weirton, West Virginia.
Norfolk Southern milepost 16.1. No defects. Norfolk Southern milepost 16.1. No defects.
CX Conway, ready to clear my track authority whenever you're ready.
Alright, go ahead, okay.
Track authority number 8079 is 8079. Two boxes, 1 and 2. Proceed from branch to Rock in the main. No switches handled. Detected by yard limits. Over.
Okay, release track authority number 8079. Two boxes, 1 and 2. Proceed from branch to Rock on main track. No switches protected by yard limits. Is that correct, though?
That is correct, and these limits are being reported clear by valid.
Alright, show limits reported clear at 214 p.m. by valid and over.
Track authority number 8079, two boxes, limits reported clear at 204 p.m. by valid.
It's 214 over.
Sorry, limits reported clear at 214 p.m. by valid.
That's correct, only terminal.
62V terminal.
62V, give me a second.
As 60X slips away into Steubenville, 62V appears in the siding, receiving his track authority to go east.
62V, ready to copy, over.
Roger, 62V, ready to copy.
Alright, it's send me track authority number 8409 to TNE and that's 4437. And that's 4437 East EAST at Rock. Checkbox 2, proceed from Rock to branch on main MAIN track. Track authority number 8409, one box check 2 over.
Okay, 62V here with readback on track authority number 8409. That's 8409 to TNE NS 4437. That's 4437 East EAST at Rock. With one box checkbox 2. Proceed from Rock to branch on main track MAIN. Copy by Boyd. Once again, track authority number 8409 with one box checkbox 2, over.
8409, one box check 2, copy by Boyd, okay, at 217 p.m. Dispatcher JJH, over.
Okay, that's track authority number 8409, that's 8409 with one box checkbox 2. Copy by Boyd, located 217, that's 217 in the p.m. Dispatcher JJH, over.
Roger, that is correct, only terminal.
62V comes to a stop so the conductor can get off and line the east switch for his train to depart the siding. The conductor must first unlock the switch before he can throw it. The green target indicates the switch is lined for the main. Then he throws the lever, opening the switch to the siding. Once the lever locks into place, the conductor secures the padlock so no wild Sebastian de Youngs can come and try to throw the switch. The conductor waves at the engineer to bring the train forward so he can climb aboard and take it east. The engineer watches as the conductor climbs aboard. And with that, their eastbound journey begins, and they all live happily ever after. Well, for now anyway. My sincerest appreciation to the cement truck driver who waited so patiently to move while I got my shot of the engines. Thank you very much. Chase number 2 is now underway as we move 13 miles compass north to Stratton, the site of the former Samus power plant which was demolished last year. 62V is making good time as it hustles 8,000 feet of empty trash containers under Stratton Heights Road. So far, this is the fastest I've seen a train move all day. Another 5 miles north puts us at Yellow Creek. 62V crosses a trestle over its namesake waterway and takes the diverging route onto the Cleveland line. You think I was kidding when I said the train was over 8,000 feet long? Look at the riverbank on the right by the tug, and you'll barely see the rest of the train through the trees. Yellow Creek is where the single-track Cleveland line goes back to double-track. It's also the easternmost point of the river line. Back in CTC territory, we crossed the border into Glasgow, Pennsylvania, landing at CP Vez, the start of a 1.5-mile section of single-track. Sometime in the mid-2010s, this part of the Cleveland line was reconfigured to be single-track. This is due to the unstable riverbed in this area, having suffered a long history of track washouts and ill-fated derailments. In order to not anger the riverbed, trains are restricted to 10 miles an hour until CP Midland, where the line returns to double track again. To avoid being swallowed by the Ohio River, 62V complies, slowing his train as he gracefully glides around the S-curve before knocking down CP Vez. East of Midland is Industry, and the crossing at Wabash Avenue, still equipped with its old SafeTran hybrid mechanical bell. This is the last shot we got of 62V before it was instructed to hold at Vanport for its turn in Conway Yard for a crew swap. The plan is for 62V's crew to relieve an inbound 63V at Conway and take that back to Mingo Junction. However, 63V is still a few hours out, so me and Max move down to East Conway to wait for it. The wait is no problem, as East Conway is always busy with trains coming in and out and shuffling around. This is crude oil train 66T departing for Delaware with a fresh crew, passing one of the hump switchers in the yard. As 66T departs on Track 1, Manifest 11K arrives on Track 3, bringing the first half of his train into the receiving yard. 11K stops to make a cut at his DP unit. As he does this, Empty Ethanol 65K rolls west on track 4 towards his recrew at Rochester. The train on the right on track 2 is the second half of a 39G that arrived here before we did.
C94 to the hump.
Going down lower. Here we go.
Then I-69 rolls in from Elizabeth, New Jersey with an old whiteface Dash 9 trailing second. He'll do his recrew here. Every train that passes through here either originates, terminates, or swaps crews. The only trains that don't are the 2 Amtrak Floridians that pass through in the middle of the night. As I-69 swaps crews, C-28 comes in from Island Avenue Yard in Pittsburgh with a bunch of outbound cars for probably Bellevue and Elkhart. 2 SD-60E rebuilds are in charge of this train, something not very common on the main line anymore. The 2 units, NS-6967 and 7001, were rebuilt in 2014 and 2015 from SD-60's 6657 and 6522 respectively. They're fitted with NS's custom crescent cabs, which are crash safe.
Not ready to pull into the yard up.
Okay.
With a brand new crew, I-69 departs East Conway with a train for Landers Yard in Chicago, Illinois. Flying off of the ramp is 256 for Croxton, with 4002 trailing second. Then 11K comes back out of the yard for the second half of his train.
Okay, give me 20-20. 20 left there.
The signal at CP Bayard lights up with an advanced approach for a westbound to come into the ramp. "11K pulls the rest of his train into Conway. And then, bingo! It's 63V coming in for his turn on the ramp. The inbound crew was on duty early this morning clear in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and brought this stinky monster over the Allegheny Mountains to here, so their day is most certainly done. The crew of the 62V from earlier will get on this train and return back home to Mingo Junction. 63V's trash containers are loaded at 2 interstate waste facilities in New Jersey, one in Newark and one in South Kearney. The train is assembled at Conrail Shared Assets in Oak Island and is handed off to Norfolk Southern. A pickup is made at a 3rd interstate waste facility, BRI in Bridgewater, New Jersey. Then the massive trash heap is taken through Bound Brook, Allentown, Reading, Harrisburg, Altoona, Pittsburgh, Conway, Yellow Creek, and finally to Gold's Yard in Mingo Junction, Ohio. There it is interchanged to the Ohio Central Railroad, which takes it to the Apex landfill in Amsterdam, where the train is unloaded. The empties return to Gold's, where they're handed off to NS62V back to Oak Island. And for the record, when I say trash, I mean literal garbage. And it reeks. The trashy meet and greet doesn't take long, so me and Max return to the Cleveland line and set up at Vanport, the site of some of the last remaining position light signals on the Cleveland line. These things won't be here for too much longer as their replacements hover menacingly behind them. Very soon, headlights appear, and 63V throttles up past our cameras, knocking down Vanport. The tracks between Bridgewater and Yellow Creek are not bidirectional like most main lines. This is account Rule 251 in the NS operating rules. In this case, track 2 is the westbound track, and track 1 is the eastbound track. You can tell because the signals only face one way on each main. So, in technicality, this 63V, being a westbound train, can only use the westbound track, track 2. If, for some reason, he needed to run up Main 1, he requires a mandatory directive against the flow of traffic, along with absolute block protection from the dispatcher. It's now almost 8 p.m. and daylight is disappearing fast, and we're hungry, so we elected to go to East Liverpool as our last spot for the night. But how are we going to see the train in the dark? Well, no problem. Max bought a new Toyota Tacoma equipped with full LED headlights and a light bar that can burn a hole through your eyes. Our apologies to the 63V crew.
Southern, milepost 8.7. Track 2, no defects.
63V, Terminal. 63V, over. Yeah, 63V with the lead engine in it. 3615, that's 3615, like $2 for the ticket down there.
Instruct authority number 9119 to TNE NS 3615 NS 3615 West WSCF branch. Check box 250 from Bridge to Rocco, Maine, MAIN turn. Check authority number 9119, 1 box 6 2 over.
Track authority number 9119, 9119, ADNS 3615, 3615 West, WEST at branch, 1 box check box 2, proceed to branch to Rock on Main, MAIN, copy by voice, once again, that's track authority number 9119, 1 box check box 2.
9119, 1 box check 2, copy by Boyd, okay at 7530 p.m. Dispatcher JJH.
Okay, track authority 9119, that's 9119, 1 box check box 2, copy by Boyd, okay, 753 to 753 p.m. Dispatcher JJH, over.
Roger, that is correct, calling them out.
Alright, thank you. At 63 p.m. clear signal 16.5, track 2, putting the line westbound.